Hello and welcome back to the REALTY Funnels Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Cahill, and I'm delighted to have with me today Lynne Mazin, who is starting up a whole new effort at Compass Real Estate in Manhattan, and she is going to crush it, I can just tell. So Lynne, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Kevin. Great to be here.
It's great to have you with us. Why don't you just give everyone a little sense of who you are, your amazing, really cool background, and then we'll get into it.
Sure, I'm happy to share. My name is Lynne Mazin. I'm thrilled to be here at Compass. I've just launched a new team called Après Global. We are based here in the New York City market, and we focus on high net worth advisory because I can see here in Manhattan specifically, there really is a need to deliver particular high level services to high net worth investors. And that's really what we're concentrating on. And we're hoping for a big year ahead in 2026.
Well, you've already had a strong start already. Talk a little bit about how long you've launched this and what it's looked like so far.
We had a really nice start. We have a lot of support here at Compass, which is frankly quintessential to my success. It's one of the reasons that Compass was so compelling for me to join. And we had a soft launch starting in August, September to start to get some of the collateral out there, launched the website, the Instagram, the social media. And over the course of the last couple of weeks, we really started operating as Après Global, and we have about $50 million in contracts in the last 4 or 5 weeks. So far, so good. It's been a success. It's exciting.
Congratulations. That is really a lot of wonderful volume in such a short period of time. You have one of the most power-packed backgrounds of any real estate agent I've ever met. You have a law degree. You have an MBA. Tell us a little bit about that. Tell us about your background and what brought you into eventually a career in real estate sales.
Absolutely. I am a true bond girl. I traded bonds for 15 years on Wall Street, and I used to cover central banks and sovereign wealth funds. So my area of expertise was really in the world of negotiation. I was very seasoned at negotiating, connecting, developing relationships, and determining where I added value in a transaction. And I realized I'm the closer. I'm the person who closes a deal. So it took some time. I spent a year or two really evaluating after Wall Street where I would enjoy the experience of, I think when you work, it has to be an experience you enjoy. So my top priority was finding something that I thought I could build a lifetime of enjoyment doing on a daily basis. It was important for me. And then couple that to really deliver where my skill set I thought really lend value. I'm both an attorney. I have an MBA from Cornell. I have Wall Street behind me. I had lots of connectivity globally, but I wanted to do something I loved. I wanted to do something I was passionate about, and I wanted to do something I thought I would be good at. And here I am.
It's not typical or common for a real estate agent to have that Wall Street background, to have that law degree, to have an MBA. I mean, you're really bringing a whole lot of power into your negotiations. How long have you been a real estate agent?
A decade now, 10 years.
And so in that period of time, going back, let's say, 2015, we were seeing the real estate market really returning by then. It had been bouncing off the bottom back in 2009, 2010, 2011 after the credit market collapse of 2008. But you've been riding a wave upward, and you have gone out on your own now. What prompted that for you, the decision to create your own team?
I was lucky. I was fortunate. With your background in real estate, you know that there's a lot of networking opportunities, and everybody in real estate encourages you to go. So I did. I joined a lot of networking groups, one of them being BNI, and I would go religiously. If nothing else, it was a great opportunity to meet other entrepreneurs and hear what other people were doing and what worked for them in different industries, and try to incorporate some of those success stories into my own business model. And I ran into somebody that at the time was at Douglas Elliman and gave me a lot of great connectivity over at Douglas Elliman. And I had a great run. really surrounded myself with people that were highly successful in the business that took the time and the energy to teach me. And I was, a bit of a sponge and really took the time to learn. And Compass right now is a very exciting place to be. There's a lot of growth. There's a lot between mergers and acquisitions and growth and vision and equity value. The whole story is really a promising story right now. And Compass to me was very compelling. And I thought it was time to really find a group of people that can deliver a level of expertise that is definitely separate and apart and distinguishable from what I see right now in the broader market.
It's Compass. They've always been leading in the luxury space.
Yeah.
And were you with Douglas Elliman prior to Compass?
Yeah, I was there for almost 8 years. Yeah.
So another leader in the luxury space,
Yeah,
especially
exactly.
in Manhattan.
A lot of new development. So I really had a very good opportunity. I learned development. I met with a lot of developers, architects, finance guys. I learned the business really ground up.
And when you think about the transition now to growing your own team, Après Global, creating that, and we were talking a little bit earlier about how you want to expand your footprint beyond Manhattan, into Brooklyn, into Connecticut, out into the Hamptons. What does leadership look like for you? That must excite you a bit.
It's really about meeting people where they are. I've learned over the years. When I was back on Wall Street for some time, I ran the recruitment program, and I would go recruit all the MBAs and PhDs for the trading floor. And everybody comes from a different place. I think the best leaders really do take the time to connect with the people that work for them and with them, and really learn what everybody's individual stories, what's somebody's individual story? Who are they? Why are they here? How can you help them excel? What do they need from you? And it's not always the same thing. People need different things from you. And I feel like very good leaders really take time on the introspection to figure out how they can deliver and keep everybody engaged and encouraged and lead with compassion.
It's so interesting when you're growing a team, you're really finding opportunities for synergy where 1 + 1 = 3 or 5 or 11. What do you look for in talent? How do you identify somebody and you're like, oh, I want that person on my team. I want to get that person into the real estate industry. I want to have a little bit more proximity to that person. What does that look like for you?
I always say I look for ambition. I can teach somebody anything else. I could teach the nuts and bolts of how to do a trade, and nuts and bolts of how to do a real estate deal. You can't teach ambition. If somebody is hungry, they will figure it out. And that to me is that spice and that spark that you're looking for.
One of the famous college football coaches, and I can't remember which one it was, but he said, I look for speed. You can't teach speed. And in the same way, you can't really teach ambition. You can't really teach desire or a perseverance. These are obviously all the attributes that we look for. They're elusive, though, aren't they?
Yes. And it makes a difference. That it's part of the secret sauce when you see somebody who's successful. And I read a lot of books about how everyone across all different fields have grown their businesses. And the one commonality is they were hungry to achieve success in whatever it is they were striving to do. And they were relentless. They were just relentless. It doesn't matter if they started in their parents' garage. It doesn't matter if they dropped out of college. It didn't matter what anyone else told them. They were just dedicated and focused and hungry, and they all got there.
Your focus is really the luxury market, which is so much of Manhattan. I mean, you're dealing with some of the wealthiest people, some of the most sophisticated home sellers and home buyers that there might be anywhere in the United States or on the planet. Does that intimidate you at all? Is that anything that you ever catch yourself thinking, wow, I'm sitting here talking with a billionaire?
I'm always very conscientious to ensure that what I bring to that table is a complement to what everyone else they're working with. So if they're working with people in the family office space, they usually have a significant number of advisors, whether they be financial or legal, and I speak their language. and I've spent many years developing my own skill set, so I'm comfortable and I'm confident when I sit at the table, I'm a value add to the conversation.
So smart. What would you say are some of I mean, I don't want to just presume that I know what some of your value add skill sets might be as an MBA, as an attorney, as somebody who had spent years on Wall Street as a bond trader. But what would you say are some of those unique characteristics and qualities and attributes that you do bring to the table?
Like I said, I'm the closer. I will get us to the finish line. I do believe in getting to yes. I think real estate at certain points throughout the course of a transaction feels adversarial because you have a buyer and you have a seller, and one wants the highest price, one wants the lowest price. But there is an inflection point within the course of every transaction where you're now a team. And once you become a team, we all have the same objective. We all have to get to a closing table. And that means everybody, and particularly in New York City, there's a lot of interested parties. You will have a board, you will have a management company, you will have attorneys on both sides, you generally have bankers on both sides, you have brokers on both sides. By the time we've got to a closing table, we're like a marching band showing up. Our interests are frankly all aligned, because if the deal doesn't get done, it's a lose-lose for everybody. So there is that inflection point, particularly in these ultra high net worth deals, where you have to shift the focus, and it's very critical. We're no longer A versus B, we're now one. And now everybody has to work together as a team to make it happen.
It's so fascinating. I'm sure you've handled a lot of transactions, and I have too. And they're all unique, and yet they're all so similar too.
The best thing to do, from my experience, manage people's expectations. I tell everyone, it doesn't matter if they're buying a studio or a penthouse, there is hair on every deal. There's hair on every deal. I don't know what the hair is going to be on your deal, but when we get there, we're going to find a solution. It's problem, solution, and it's very methodical. And we just stay focused. Things will happen. There will be bumps in the road, and we will get through it.
I spent a good portion of my career in the Cleveland market, and the Cleveland Orchestra is a really great orchestra, very well regarded. And I had a lot of clients who were musicians of the Cleveland Orchestra. And it was always very fun. They would talk about how when they were performing a new piece, that the music was familiar. And they would learn it and they would master it. And then when it was time to perform, they would have it down pat. And it struck me that real estate deals, for me, at a certain point, the music always sounded familiar. There were variations on the tunes, but every deal, it was sort of like, I may not have encountered that exact situation, but I know that we're going to encounter certain circumstances and situations, and don't worry, we'll get through it and it'll all be fine in the end.
Yes.
And that's similar to what you advise, is helping people understand what those proper expectations should be in the transaction.
Absolutely. You're the authority figure. So if you're worried, everybody's worried. So you really want to assert authority, but in order to do that, again, I have years and years and years of networks behind me. So I'm very disciplined at this point, where I work with the best lawyers and the best finance guys. And if and when something happens, I have managers, I have many experts that I know in every field, whether they're architects and there's some type of construction issue, if it's a legal issue, if it's a financing issue. I always am like, you know what, let me consult somebody. I don't ever give an answer if you don't know the answer. Say, let me take the opportunity to consult an expert on this, and I'll circle back to you on that. And that's the best you do. You do your due diligence for somebody, and you try to deliver a solution and really use the resources that you have around you to deliver excellence for your clients.
And your clients don't necessarily expect that you have an answer instantaneous, top of mind. They're simply wanting the right answer rather than the best answer you can come up with on the fly.
Yeah, exactly. And particularly in real estate, I always tell everyone, tell people you'll get back to them, because if you say that the dryer's vented and the dryer's not vented, they come back and they're like, well, the broker said. So you're always better off taking a step back and saying, oh, that's a great question, I'll get back to you on that. And that answer is totally a-okay. Good answer.
Yep. Buy you some time.
Yep.
It also allows for heated emotions to dissipate a little bit.
Yes.
But then also, most importantly, it allows for you, the real estate agent, to go out and research what was told to whom and get the answers and find a resolution for that scenario.
Yeah, of course. And there's always a solution. There's somebody that you know in your network that has done something similar to this, particularly in New York City, because we're working in buildings. There could be 100 units. Call someone else who's done a deal in the building. Somebody who's done a deal has probably encountered the same complication. They can give you guidance what they did to jump over that hurdle. And those type of networks within the real estate community in any city, they're just absolutely critical, which is why, again, I know I feel as a little adversarial when you're talking to different brokers, and these are your friends, like these are your people.
I've always felt that while I have a financial fiduciary responsibility to my client, I'm going to do 30 deals with this particular broker over the course of the next 20 years. And I'll be lucky to do 2 or 3 or 4 deals and a bunch of referrals from this one client who I'm going to take care of and honor the fiduciary responsibilities. But I'm not going to tick off agent after agent.
Real estate is not a zero-sum game. It's not you win and they lose. It's because that will come back to bite you. You really want to make sure everybody in the transaction has a feel-good experience.
And those other agents, they can be the ones. Lisa, my wife Lisa, and I have a lot of experiences where agents have said, Kevin, we're in multiples, but when I got your offer, I knew that I wanted to work with you and your client. And
exactly.
so
And your
you want to have that reputation.
That's a great point. Your reputation that is one of your value adds to your clients. Your reputation, I lend my shine, and it helps people get their deals done.
So many times I've had real estate agents call me up and say, hey, Kevin, we really want to bring a buyer to your listing. I know that you're already dealing with multiples. Can you wait a couple hours for us to get over there and take a look at it? Well, that's very respectful, and I'm going to do everything I can to help them because it's always just going to help.
Yeah, of course. It becomes a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about Après Global and what that looks like and how you're increasing your footprint across Manhattan, across New York, across Connecticut, and onwards. What's that look like for the next few years?
There's a lot of global real estate players. They don't just buy exclusively in Manhattan. So as we expand, we're really conscientious. We want to go where our clients are. And obviously, Florida is a very compelling market particularly in New York City. We have a lot of people looking to optimize their taxes. So Florida, it's sunny, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, and the taxes are lower. So I completely understand why everyone loves Florida. Connecticut is a really hot spot. Everybody wants to be in the suburbs. Schools are great. Living experience is great. You get a lot more space than you do in Manhattan. And then within New York, it is hyper specialized. So I don't believe that being a hyper local Upper East Side broker, the next move for you is to go into Brooklyn. I think there's people that live in the community, that know the restaurants, that know the people, that they're the people that bring the flavor and the value to the transaction. And I think there should be local people. So it should be Après Global Brooklyn, Après Global Manhattan, Après Global Connecticut, Florida.
The Hamptons.
The Hamptons, exactly. Because there's people that are from there, and that's their value add. You're selling the experience of the community.
I could see you in Park City. I could see you out in Aspen and Vale. I mean, it's a natural fit. You already have these known relationships with clients who trust you and would like to do more business with you if they could. And now You're going to be able to.
Exactly. And part of what we do, and it's one of the luxuries of being here at Compass, is that there really is a very significant and deep network throughout the country. And as we continue to expand really around the globe, those become really key referral agents.
And you're going to be able to just grow faster inside of a national brand than if you were in a smaller brokerage that didn't have that footprint in all those different market areas. So I could see the attraction. You jump in with Compass and they already have this luxury presence where you want to go anyway.
Exactly. We went to the holiday party last night, and there must have been 1,500 people in the room from all across the United States. So it's a really good opportunity if you take it and you leverage it to get your name out there and meet people and find ways to connect and work together.
You mentioned a few minutes ago how you love reading books. What are some of the books that you just turn back to over and over again? Your favorite leadership books, thought leaders that you like to follow? What's that look like for you?
I circle back a lot to Never Split the Difference.
Yeah.
It's really um, Voss is a hostage negotiator for the FBI. That's his background. And he's very clear. He's like, if I lose, somebody dies. He's like, that's my job. He's like, my only job is to go in and get somebody out alive. So he's like, if I'm wrong, they're dead. And he has some really interesting, I want to say, observations
Mhm.
about how to connect with people in an influential way that I consistently circle back to. And when I'm negotiating something that's a little tricky, I go back to that playbook.
Chris Voss is really amazing. He also looks at negotiation in uh, because of his background, he looks at negotiating in a way that many people would not necessarily look at. Okay, I'll give them on this and they'll give them on that. And then together we'll just keep inching them together. And eventually we just end up in the stupid middle,
Yes.
which may not necessarily be in everyone's best interests. Sometimes people are overplaying how much something matters to them in order for them to get something else that they don't want to let on is really important to them.
Yeah, and to me, just hearing his observations and exactly what you're saying, like what people say are their top priorities versus really what are their top priorities are not always aligned. I think he highlights certain things, and I do consistently go back to that style of negotiation because, like I said in the beginning, people start this as a little adversarial, and then there's a switch, and when that switch happens, and we're all a team, you have to set an atmosphere where people are comfortable continuing to work with you. So I'm aggressive where I need to be aggressive, and I embrace everybody in the transaction when the time has come to do that.
What other books do you turn to again and again?
Right now, I'm actually reading about the Winklevoss twins and their success in Bitcoin because I think it's fascinating. I don't think it's accidental that they had their footprint in Facebook and then they had their footprint in Bitcoin. You don't strike lightning twice. So there's something there to me that I is just very intriguing, and I follow stories like that, whether it's Elon or even Trump. He's president twice, and it didn't look like he was going to be president twice, and here he is. So
Well, it
there,
didn't look like he was going to be president either time immediately.
exactly.
The second time, he had more of a, once Biden pulled out, then it was like, oh, now it's going to be really easier for him. But it was still an uphill fight for him both times, and he still pulls it off.
Exactly. It's not, I don't look at it from an ideological perspective.
No.
It's simply that strategy where he figured out how to dominate when the odds were really against him.
And back in 2016, I remember distinctly reading all of the um, anticipatory polls. Everyone expected that Clinton would win by a landslide. And that just wasn't the case at all. And I was like, how about that? But then you watch his stuff, go back to, even just The Apprentice, fascinating stuff.
Exactly.
And so there's something to be studied there.
Yeah, so things like that. I find people's success stories very intriguing, and I do try to take the time to, and they're small. It's just small secrets to success, how to incorporate it into what I do on a daily basis to really deliver excellence to the clients that I serve and the people that I lead.
I love to end my podcast interviews with this question. Knowing what you know now, what do you wish you knew 20 years ago?
Wow, that's a loaded question. Good question. It all works out. And I
Talk
feel like
about
that's
them.
something my mother would say, but I don't think I'm alone. If you look back 20 years, it all works out. Everybody lands where they should be.
So there's a combination of divine plan. There's a combination of you were meant to go through what you went through.
You don't get the good without the bad, and you don't achieve success without the struggle.
A lot of people are unwilling to have the hard times and therefore will never have the great easy times either.
Absolutely. It's philosophy 101. You don't have black without white, you don't have good without bad. And when you read some people's success stories, it's when you see where they started from and where they are today, I just find that to be remarkable.
I do too. It's so interesting when you see some of these, what look like overnight successes, but they've been at it forever. And they struggled with this and they failed at this, but then eventually they broke through and found the thing that now it looks like they just stumbled upon it, but they kept iterating.
Absolutely.
I want
And
to
the more,
make
I think I was going to say, I think the more innovative you are and the more outside the box your vision is and the bigger your vision is, and you probably get the most no's. You probably get the most people objecting to what your vision is and telling you should, go be a doctor, go be a lawyer. It takes, it takes a lot of guts sometimes to be successful.
perseverance, ambition, one of those things that, either you have it or you don't. And if you don't have it, then you're going to make somebody else's ambition come true.
Yeah, and the other thing I also, just in terms of like advice that somebody gave me advice and I think it's such great advice. You're as successful as the 5 people around you. You have to put your body in successful places and wherever that is. You'll know people that it depends what your values are and what you're trying to achieve. But if you go to the gym and you stand next to the people that look phenomenal and do what they do, you'll look phenomenal. If you are going to, there's just so many different places, so many different walks of life. But if you really put yourself, particularly in business, in a room with other people that are hyper successful in business and very dedicated, it's osmosis, somehow or another that drips off on you.
I found that to be true in 2 different directions too. One is, you want to get around people who are a little further ahead of you, who have a little bit of something that they can teach you, but then you also want to lift people up around you. You want to add value to those people around you. So it can't just be that you're here in this take position. You have to walk into
You have an
it.
obligation, and I say that all the time, particularly when I used to run the training program. Everybody had a first day of work. Nobody knew how to work the copy machine. Nobody knew how to work the coffee machine. Nobody knew where their bathrooms were. Everybody had a first day of work. I don't care if their name is CEO now, they still had a first day. And I do think that the more successful you become, the bigger your obligation is to help pull people up as well.
Well, Lynn, thank you so much for being with me today. I could talk with you for hours, and I think we just
Thanks
have
for
a
having
great
me, Kevin. It was fun.
conversation. Well, I want to make sure we give everyone an opportunity to connect with you. So let's talk about your website. Where should they go to find you there?
I'm at ApréGlobal.com. I'm very easy to find. Email lynne.mazin@compass.com.
Okay, great. And how about your phone number as well?
Sure, of course. It's 917-751-9822.
Lynne Mazin with Compass. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure.